Hey everyone! I have something to share that's new to me that I discovered. Thank you, Wendy, Becky, and Kirk, for your awesome videos that led me to discover this wonderful collection. I treated myself to a subscription for some Delicas for my Mother's Day gift from me to me. And so I really love this and it's fun. And I love to do a peyote pattern. That's how I relax. That's how I wind down, also looming and brick stitch. And so my favorite go-to is always going to be Delicas for that. I mean, just hands down. It's like the funnest bead. But that said, other beads work in these designs. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you're working with like the 11 O's and the 8 O's, things like that, the round beads give you more organic looks, but they're so pretty. So, and colors can be substituted in any of the patterns I do. So you can always make your own from what I share. So I decided I'm going to just, for my own enjoyment, do a pattern a month with my Delica collection that is coming. I'll get one every month, and it'll be a surprise. And what could be more amazing than surprise Delicas every month? It's super cool. And if you'd like to join me on this and play along, you'll get 10% off your first month when you use the code Danielle10. And it'll also tell them that you're a follower of my channel. And so they will try to match your collections to the ones that I'm being sent. So that's another little bonus there. So let's go ahead and see my first one. This is it says Lilac Blooms. And I'm getting 8 colors of Delicas in here. So let's look at them. Pretty. And so there's, wow, so a lot of gray flowing into purple. So what we're looking at here is an analogous color palette, meaning it's more of a flow. It would be really great in an ombre. It would also be really great in strong color blocks. So I'm leaning that way toward patterning. So what I mean by that is when colors are more analogous and not contrasting, not sharply far away from each other on the triangle of color, on a wheel, you have the mostly like a triad of the most different from each other. Those are gonna stand out and pop, even if you just use one bead next to one bead. In designs like loom, peyote, brick stitch, when you don't have that contrast, you want to go with blocks of color. So my mind went to color block designs. So one of the first things I did was I popped them into a program that I like to use and came up with a few ideas. So some of the patterns I have here they're the ones I think I'm going to work. And I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do like a little patchwork of 3 different patterns. Let me put my big screen up so you can see all of the patterns together. So I just kind of let myself go stream of consciousness for a little bit. This one's not as easy to see, but it is the most bold block of color. I just did the pattern a little bit longer because I might do this one as a whole bracelet. That said, I kind of want to see all 3. So I've been seeing a trend for patterns that are like combinations of things. Like you build one section, then you build another, and then you build one more, and they're just they look a little bit more like tiles, like you used leftover tiles and you've completed a design with them. So that's kind of what I think I'm going to do, so that I get a chance to see all of these ideas stitched up. But what I'll do is when I share these patterns with you guys, they'll be in the description. You just click the link. It'll take you to a page of pattern inspiration. What I think I might do is provide you with repeat points in case you just want to make just one of these and have that be your whole bracelet. I'm also going to show you how to finish it when I get to that spot. I'm not there yet, but I'll put the camera on it when I do, and we'll finish it together in this video. So I'm going to show starting, and I wanted to point out the type of stitch that I went with for this one. I decided to go with 2-drop peyote because it's a nice and a fast stitch, and it also, when you're doing color blocks, the multi-drops are really great for that because it gives you I don't know, it just kind of gives you that advantage of working with larger blocks of color when you have these larger blocks of multi-drop peyote. So that's what I did. And the most color blocky ones are these guys. So they're going to be the easiest. This one's a little more intricate. This one is more, you got some Fair Isle kind of thing happening. But that said, when you see this stitched up, you're going to be like, oh, that's neat. It's very, it'll draw the eyes, And this one, the eyes will flow right over it, just kind of like water. So let's see how they look. It's always the funnest thing just to see, because paper doesn't do it justice. When you see it in these beautiful beads, It's going to be amazing. And then I did want to share one other thing with you. I initially mused on the idea of doing a loom pattern and decided that I was more feeling peyote this time. But because I did the loom pattern and I've got it done, why not share it? I do have a loom pattern for you if you're feeling like you want to do some looming. This one uses the same colors that are here in this collection. You can easily substitute other colors. And again, it's large color blocks. And I don't have a name for it yet, but I was going for something that looked like a little bit of a feather, and then it ended up looking like stars to me. So I just named it Star Feathers, I think. Is the name I came up with just now. So this is, again, a loom pattern, and it's one that you can work either from a graph or a word chart. I'll provide you both in the description. So I think what I'm going to do is just like create a blog entry on my website where everything here is, and links to the collection as well. A reminder of my code that will get you 10% off your first one. And so let's dive in. So what I'm going to do first, I think I'd like to do, I'm going to start with, let's start with this one. This one is a really cool pattern. And I'm going to use some beading thread that is 6 pound. I'm going to just go with white. And it's, I'm working with Essalon Fire. This is new to me. I'm actually enjoying working with it, just experimenting and seeing how it flows and in a design like this. So that's what I'm using, but any kind of beading thread is going to work. Anything you like to do for peyote is so flexible for beading thread. You can be 1G, KO, Miyuki thread, Fireline, Wildfire, you name it, all going to work here. All right, so what you're seeing here is I have the first two colors that are going to be popping up in my pattern laid out. I decided to start with this one, and I'm going to go ahead and work just starting with these two, and then I'll pour the colors out as I need them. But eventually what you're going to have is your beads according to your legend, and the colors match what's on. So if you're just looking for which color is which, 1245, see 1245. Here's color B is 2316. So that's how to find them. And I've got these two laid out here. I'm going to be working from my word chart. I do like to work from word charts for peyote, but that said, you've also got a graph you can work from. And I started by stringing 12 A beads. And I did switch to black thread so you can see my work, but I also feel like the other cut, like crystal or gray, if you have like a purple thread or a lilac thread, those are all going to be gorgeous combos. But any thread you have is going to be a really good choice. Working with Delicas is just so flexible and forgiving for types of thread. They have really nice hole diameters, things like that. So go ahead and leave about a 12-inch tail. I do believe what I'm going to do for the finish on this is a button and leather closure, because that's my favorite. And so I thought I would just work that. But you'll probably want at least 12 inches of tail. You can always weave in more. But if you leave 12 inches, you'll have enough to attach your button on one side, and we'll use what's left of the working side to do the leather attachment. And I'll step you through all that when we get there. But so there's my first two rows. So remember in peyote, you string the first two rows, 12A. And so now what I'm going to be doing is working in blocks of two, because remember this is 2-drop. I'm going to be picking up color B. So you'll want to pick up 2B. And let's just get a little lower here. Sorry about that. So pick up 2B, skip the next 2, and go through the 2 after that. And again, this is 2-drop, and it's just regular even count peyote. But working with 2 makes it really quick to get finished. And I like to pull my working and tail thread apart, which gives you that little pop start for your peyote stitch. And we're going to repeat that again. Pick up 2. All right, skip the next 2, go through the 2 right after that. And don't worry if they spin on you. They might do that. So you notice how that first one should be facing the other direction. We're going to fix that when we come in and add the row afterward. So don't sweat that. It's no problem. So you got 2 more. Skip 2, go through the last 2. And I just love to pull working and tail thread apart, get everything tightened. And so you should have this. This bottom one is spun, but that's okay. You can just flip it right back like that. And as we work row 4, we'll just make sure we go through the color B, so we know we're locking in color B. This is going to be a really beautiful color flow. I'm already loving just the start. So in Peyote Stitch, what you see here in my hand, that's rows 1, 2, and 3, represented on the word chart as that. So let's do row 4 together. We're going to string 1A and 1B. So remember, we're working in 2 drops. So we're going to grab the first A and then grab one of these Bs. And then we'll work with 2B and 2B. Oops, sorry about that. Loud paper noise. So we'll pick up 1A and one of the B. And now we have these up beads to go back through. So just bring your needle through those 2 beads there. I'm going to pull that through. And if you pull on the tail and the side you're working, it'll pop right into place for you just like that. And now I'm going to pick up 2B and go through those 2B from the row before, the next up beads. And don't be afraid to use that tail as a way to pull and tighten your work. Here's 2B. And we'll go through the last 2B here. All right. So there's rows 1 through 4 complete. Let's do one more row together, and then I will show you the next step. I think I am going to go ahead and swap patterns as I go. So just for fun, just to see something really unique and different. It's really going to stand out. So that was row 4. Here's row 5. We're going to switch to color C. So flipping back to my legend, my color C is 209, which is going to be this one right here. So we'll grab 209. There we go. I do love these containers. They're really, really nice. A very easy row, this one. It's going to be all color C. So we're just going to pick up 2C. And we're going to turn and go back through the last 2 color B that were added in row 4. We're just working back now into row 4 to create row 5. So there's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. So that completes row 5. Row 6 is going to have, we're going to start with a B, and then we'll pick up a C, and then we'll finish the row with all color C. So 1B, 1C, work back into the other from the previous row. And they're just, it looks like there's a perfect spot for them, and that's exactly where you want to go. Pick up 2, skip 2, go through the next 2. That's what we're doing. Pick up 2, skip those 2, go through the 2 that are sticking out. Wow, look at that. Can you see how cool this is going to look? It's going to really flow nicely. All right, so here it is. Here's my beautiful stitched up pattern. And I finished up almost all of it, but I found that just right at the end, I started running short. So I can give you estimates for how much thread to cut now because I know how much I ended up using. I leave my my old working thread in place when I add new, and I'm going to show you right now how I do that. But this is a great way to mark your spot in the pattern. So when you run out of thread and you start a new strand, if you weave to exit your new strand from where your old strand is coming out of, from the same beads, and create some new rows, then at the end, like where I am now, you just come along and weave that old strand up into those new rows. And I think this really helps you keep track of where you are in your pattern. And it also just makes it quicker to keep going as you're in work. You just want to keep going on the pattern. And I find it a lot less, I guess, kind of like feeling like I'm slowing down to do my weaving in at the end. It keeps me motivated as I'm working. So this pattern came out really unique. I was wanting to do something super different and unusual and very just Art Deco and fun. And so this is what I came up with. And so I'm going to go ahead and add some thread. So I don't really need to add a lot of thread. I need just enough to finish the closure that I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring on another 20 inches or so, but I did a full wingspan, so nearly 70 inches when I started. And I have this tail here that I left, which is about 12 to 15 inches long or so. 12 inches, I think is what it looks like. So 12 inches tail. It was a total of about 70 inches altogether. And then here I did another 70 inches and it got me this far. So it is, you use quite a bit of thread when you are doing this kind of work. But, it's definitely worth it because you get this beautiful, beautiful result. All right, so I'm just cutting my thread free there. And what I'm going to do is I actually left my needle on because I'll have a hard time rethreading that. I don't want to have to do that. So let's just set that aside. We'll set that right there. And let's weave around with the aim of exiting from those beads. So just bring your needle into the work. Doesn't matter where. And leave a long enough tail that you can, not lose it in the work, because we're going to use that as our indicator that the weaving we've done is good. So when it stops moving, we will know that we've secured it. So you see when we pull the thread right now, the tail still moves. So my goal is to keep going and making turns until that tail doesn't move anymore. And it'll happen pretty quick. Here's my first turn. Can still move it. So let's head up through another set of beads here. Still moving. Let's do another turn. So I do this a lot, so I kind of already have a little geography where a weave in that I know works really well for me. So test it now. Already not moving. So let's aim for where we want to be, which is right here. Here's my old working thread. Again, I'm just going to ignore it for now. Got my new thread coming out of the same place. So when I continue my pattern from right where I left off in the pattern row, I know right where to go, right where to start. Let me grab my thread burner really quick. It's hiding from me somewhere on this desk. Here we go. What I'd like to do is just get rid of the tail. There's a lot of stuff going on. So the tail of the new strand that we just did the weaving in for is this one. There we go. And let's carry on. So I left my design almost so close to the end. I only have to do 3 rows. There we go. Moving right along. All right, so here it is all complete, and all I have left to do is to weave my old strands in. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quick. I'm going to weave this strand just kind of into the edge here, which is also kind of good because it's going to serve to tighten it. And then I'll do the same thing with that other strand as well. So what we have left to do here is put our button on. And so on one side, we'll use maybe the side with the shorter tail to do that. And then on the other side, we're going to stitch a little foldable flap that we can put leather under. I'm going to be working with some 1mm round leather in a beautiful gray color that's going to match our gorgeous palette. So to get started, you're going to want to put a needle onto the whichever end you have a longer strand on. To do this step, you're going to want to have about at least maybe 20 to 25 inches of thread. So weaving in here a new strand like I just did is probably the best way. So from here, you're going to make a turn. Make a turn through
the 2 beads behind the edge here, and then go through the 3rd stack in that next column. So just like that. This is going to help us make a turn to get to where we want to be. We're doing a decrease, a peyote decrease. So that 3rd one right there. And from here, make a turn to head back through the next 2 beads heading towards the edge of the bracelet. So just through that 2nd set there. And if you have any thread showing, just roll those beads. It will hide that thread. And then just go ahead and bring your needle up through the edge set. And now you've done a decrease. From here, we're going to carry on with building what's basically just a single column peyote extension. So you're going to just pick up 2 beads, go through the next 2 up beads, and from here, instead of going through and putting 2 beads in between and heading through the next 2 up beads, I'm going to turn and head backwards now. Let's pick up 2 more beads and head back through those that we just added. And so there's your single column peyote coming together. And I'm going to carry this out to about 9 positions. I'm just guessing right now, but when I've made these in the past, I've had to kind of put the leather down and then fold it over and see with the leather, test the fit. And every time I do this, I kind of change it up just a tiny bit, just based on, what I'm going for with the look of it, the size of the band, things like that. And what you see me doing here, this is the trick that I like to do for doing single column peyote, because it does kind of tend to loosen up on you while you're working, but you'll see me pinching it with my thumb and my fingers as I work. See, I'll get that needle through and then hold everything tightly. And here I'm showing the size of the leather. So 1mm leather, size 11 Delicas, about 9 stitches in total. So from that edge, adding essentially 9 rows out in single column peyote. And just going to do a little test here and see how the leather fits. It's not every day I get to open a brand new spool of leather. It's just kind of cool. And there it is. Yeah, so that's going to be a great fit. And so that sits nice and flat. And don't be worried about just, going slow and looking at it, testing it. All right, so I've identified the spot in the band that if you lay it flat right against, you can bring your needle through and it will not warp that edge, making it curve one way or the other. And you want to go through the other 2 beads in the band. So basically you're doing kind of like a zipper stitch here. So you've gone through 1 in the band, now you're going through 1 in the little folded over tab part of it. From here, I'm going to go ahead and go through the band again, but heading in the other direction. And as with all peyote, you can kind of capture the one to the left or to the right. I like to go on the one to the right because it's kind of underneath the little folded over section. And so you'll see me looking for that and going through it. That's the gray. And I just want to go through that one that's right underneath it. You can almost not see it there. Now getting your needle through can be tricky, so I like to poke it through the other side. And that way you don't have to sit there and maneuver around underneath that little tab that you've made. This little visibility is a little tough under there. So that's how I did that. And so there, perfect little section for our leather. Let's test and make sure we like it. And if you're happy with that, go ahead and just weave in, reinforce its connection with the band, reinforce the little stitched out part itself by just weaving back through it, and then trim your thread. All right, so let's put the button on the other side. What you'll want to do to put your button on is go ahead and start a regular row of peyote, picking up 2 beads and then going through those next 2 up beads. It's going to bring you to a position almost in the middle. And then I like to string anywhere between 4 and 6 beads. And it's kind of up to you how many. A lot of factors here. If you'd like your button to stick out a little bit from the edge, or if you want it to be right up next to the edge, you also have to consider the type of button you're using and the button shank and the size of the button shank. In my case, these 11 Delicas are going to fit through that button shank because it's larger than the beads themselves. So for me, it's just kind of an easy string and then just keep going. So I'm going to string 6 beads here. So there's 4, 5, and 6 beads. And that looks good. And now just go back through, heading, kind of in the opposite direction so that it forms a loop. And so from there, you just want to reinforce that around. And so you can exit from anywhere in that center column of 4 beads. You can also exit from the edges. So the beads heading in and out of there. So you'll see me kind of weaving around here for a second. And that's usually what I do, is just kind of reinforce that at least 3-4 times. It's a part of the design that's going to get a lot of wear and tear. So don't be afraid to reinforce it a lot. There it goes. Since the button's good, did some weaving in, some thread trimming, and now it's all set. So all we have left to do is to put our leather on. If you have a cocktail straw handy, that can really help you with forming a really nice barrel knot. And test to make sure that your leather fits your barrel knot. And then go ahead and feed one end of it through the little tab that we've made. And measure out about 12 inches or so if you're doing a single button loop. And now if you'd like to do adjustable, add about 6 inches to that. And next you're going to want to measure about 3 inches and have that be your short side. The long side is what we're going to work with to do a coil. Hold the cocktail straw above the leather and then just pinch all that leather together with the straw and take the longer end and coil it around the short end and the straw. And as you do this, you'll want to coil toward the bracelet. Make 2, 3, you can even do like 4 coils, as many as you like. The more coils you do, the taller your barrel knot will be. And then just feed that end through the straw. And pull that through. And when you tighten the long side of a barrel knot, it's tightening the knot itself. When you tighten the short side, it's actually going to make that length shorter, and it will shorten the length that's attached to the bracelet. So you can really get that to your perfection. And so now I'm just going to make the second barrel knot that is going to be just far enough away from my button that'll be easy to put it on and off. And the same process here. Just going to use that cocktail straw to make a nice coil. Still, you want to head back toward the bracelet. And this ensures that your leather end will be poking out alongside the other one, heading away from the bracelet. And the same thing here, the one you were using to coil and feed through is the one that will tighten the knot when pulled. And the shorter one will actually make the button loop smaller when you pull on it. It'll bunch it up. So you want to straighten and flatten all that out and get that to be to your liking. And there it is, beautiful barrel knots. So we don't really have much left to do. I like to put a charm kind of just above the barrel knot sometimes. It's a little fun thing you can add. I didn't have one handy to put on this bracelet when I was making it, but I think it's fun to put a little charm there. And test your button before you do anything else, before you cut that leather. I've gotten into the habit of testing because it is possible to remove that barrel knot and redo it if you need to. So just make sure that you're happy with that fit. You could even try it on and just make sure everything's good there. Once you know you're happy with your button and your button loop, then you can trim that excess leather. And there you go, there's your beautiful bracelet. I had a lot of fun with this pattern. I had a lot of fun with this collection. and I have a ton of beads left from it. So this went a long way. This whole bracelet, I haven't even really tapped into maybe a quarter of the beads. So I have a lot of extras, and maybe if I get some extra time, I could use some more stuff. I'm hoping. And if I do, I'll at least post a pattern for you guys. But you can find this pattern on my website. I'll post a link in the description, and I'll also post a link to where I got the collection from Adornable Elements, and how you can get 10% off your first box. This is to enter code Danielle10, and that also lets them know that you're watching my videos, so they'll try to match the colors they send me, the colors they send you, so that when I do patterns, you'll have a set that matches mine. And so thank you so much for watching, and I want to wish you happy beading, and I'll see you for the next one.